A few big storm systems will be traversing from west to east across the United States, bringing a big time threat for heavy rainfall and flooding, snowfall, and the potential for severe weather as we go through the new week. The polar vortex has also likely going to be disrupted in late November and what that means for the winter ahead in December. We're going to go over the December outlook a little bit and what you can expect from a temperature and a precipitation perspective through this video. So stick with me, subscribe to the YouTube channel, as of course we will cover Canada, we'll cover the United States, and during the tropical weather season we cover the tropics. So subscribe to the channel, like the video. The more likes we get, the more people who view the video and get all this vital information. Share it, hype it, I definitely appreciate it. So let's go here and talk about what was quite honestly a really abnormal weekend as far as temperatures were concerned. Even as far north as Lake Michigan, we saw record highs that were 50, even 75-year-old records being broken today into areas near the Chicago lakefront, Rockford, Illinois, into the low 70s. And compare that to areas in Texas where we were into the low 90s this afternoon, as crazy as that does sound. Now, reality a little bit will be setting in tonight as those temperatures into northern Illinois will be into the low 30s, but you can see down into Texas still seeing those mild 50s and 60s for lows starting off the day on Sunday. And here we go again on Sunday afternoon, more record highs being shattered across the Lone Star State as we have more areas from San Antonio, Houston, into Austin and Brownsville, Texas, well into the 80s and near 90 degrees. Into the upper 40s it will be into the upper Midwest and into the 30s across the Northeast as we go into your Sunday. Now let's look at the big picture here of the weather pattern because it's very intriguing. We have a trough across eastern Canada that's bringing the cooler air across the Northeast the rest of this weekend. The ridge in orange across the Continental Divide of the Rockies all the way down to the Gulf Coast, promising more record-breaking heat as we go into Sunday. And then a big low pressure system or trough cut off from the main flow in the jet stream moving into California as we do speak. And that's going to be bringing a bigger threat for heavy rainfall and even some snowfall to California over the next 24 hours. So here's that big storm moving into central Southern California. The downtown area of Los Angeles is at risk for flash flooding as we go through the rest of this evening and into Sunday, as very heavy rainfall will be possible. And as you can imagine, a downtown area such as Los Angeles, lots of pavement. It's not like the open farmland that we see out in the plains where the water can soak into the ground. That pavement is going to allow for the rainfall to run off. So it may actually cause some flooding there in downtown Los Angeles. Hopefully, though, that is not the case. Outside of the city, we're going to be seeing some heavy snowfall into the higher elevations of the Sierras. That takes us into Sunday, and then going into Sunday night, we're going to continue to see moisture pummeling portions of California, and that will be adding to those rainfall totals. Now, another storm system that's intriguing as well is the cooler air also residing with the precipitation in New England. We could be seeing some snow showers heading into this evening and through much of the day on Sunday, and some of that snowfall could accumulate, especially into portions of Maine near Caribou, and that could actually be enough to shovel. So let's first look at the rainfall totals taking you through 7 a.m. on Monday, November 17th, and this is on top of what we've already seen up to this point today. California, the Sacramento Valley here, this does include the downtown area of Los Angeles. We could be seeing up to 4 more inches of rainfall through the next 24 hours or so. Dry in the central United States due to that ridge of high pressure, so expect more sunshine heading into the day on Sunday and more record-breaking heat, especially the further south you go, like we mentioned in Texas. That's where that heat will be. And then across the Northeast, a lot of that precipitation will be snow, but rainfall near coastal areas, Boston, Cape Cod, all the way down into Providence, Hartford, and even into New York City, including Long Island. Could potentially see a quarter-inch, half-inch of rainfall through the rest of the weekend. Here's the snowfall, and it could accumulate in northern parts of Maine. We could be seeing up to 3-4 inches of snowfall into northern Maine, into the Caribou area, and then potentially an inch or so of snow in upstate New York, northern New Hampshire, and northern Vermont. That is potentially in the cards as we go through the rest of the weekend. Now, let's look at our weather pattern heading into the new work week, because this weather pattern is going to stick with us with the warmth across the east as we go through the week ahead, that trough out west in California is going to take its sweet time to move further to the east, and that means a lot of moisture is expected across the western third of the country, Rockies on westward to the west coast as we go through next week. So looking here at those storm systems, we're going to have that big trough coming in across portions of the Rockies, bringing a lot of that moisture further south than what we have seen so far this year into Southern California, into the Vegas area of Southern Nevada, into portions of Utah, Arizona, Colorado, especially Southern Colorado, and into Western New Mexico, heading into the middle of the week. And then we got to watch that trough as it starts to eject across the Rockies and into the plains, how it starts to interact with our weather pattern, because a stronger low pressure system could start to develop Thursday afternoon across the Tulsa, Oklahoma City area with a dry line or a cold front attached to it, and south of that warm front there that's going to be draped across southern Missouri all the way to the Gulf Coast. We're going to be watching for severe weather in big cities in the mix here, Little Rock into Tulsa, Oklahoma City, Dallas, Fort Worth, Texarkana, and even into Shreveport. We do have to keep an eye on the severe weather threat in addition to Houston. So a lot of people are going to be impacted, millions of people, in fact, as we go into Thursday. And then going into Friday, severe weather may be possible south of the Ohio River from Kentucky all the way to the Gulf Coast, including the New Orleans area and Mobile as we go into Friday afternoon, Friday evening. I think colder rains with a rain-snow mix may be possible for the Midwest into the Great Lakes region as we go into Friday. And then as we go into Saturday, that system will quickly start to move eastward and out of the air of the eastern United States. I think it's going to be moving more into the Atlantic. And then we just start to develop more systems as we head into next weekend. So likely as we head in through next week, we could be seeing a lot of widespread heavy rainfall. And this could quite honestly lead to some flooding, especially here for Texas. We could potentially be seeing double-digit rainfall totals, if you can believe that, 10 to 12 inches here, including the Houston area, College Station to Tyler, and all the way down through Waco, San Antonio, Houston, those areas that I just mentioned. Again, we're going to be seeing quite a bit of rainfall, but that will extend northward into areas of Chicago, Milwaukee, into St. Louis, Kansas City, and into portions of Joplin, Missouri. So make sure you are ready for a lot of rainfall as we head through the week ahead. And looking at the snowfall prospects, mainly going to be confined to the higher elevations. That's where the colder air is here at the time being, and that'll be really plentiful for areas of the Rockies and also the Sierras, Cascades across the Pacific Northwest. A lot of that snowfall going to be west of the plains. Now, as we go through next week, here are our temperature trends. This is really why we don't see a lot of snowfall with this system, is because there's just a lot of warmth across the eastern United States, and that's going to take us all the way through next weekend on Saturday, November 22nd, and Sunday, November 23rd. And looking at the week ahead, again, mild temperatures, record-breaking heat could still be possible from the Missouri Ozarks all the way southward into the southern plains and Dixie Alley, where temperature anomalies during that 5-day period, Monday, November 17th through Friday, November 21st, could literally be 20 to 25 degrees above the norm, and that is the third week of November. Now, don't get so used to the warm weather, because we do have some major changes on the way as we go into late November and more so sensible weather into December, because the EPO, the Eastern Pacific Oscillation, is positive right now, but man, is that going to be crashing negative as we go into late November. And the reason being is you look way up, about 10, 20 miles above where we live in the troposphere, you look at the stratosphere, and that is where we see a sudden stratospheric warming event. And this could come in a couple of phases as we go into late November, and then especially a stronger phase as we get closer to the 1st of December, where the atmosphere is really going to start to get unstable here near the polar vortex. And that is going to cause a lot of issues as far as the temperatures are concerned, and some big swings in temperatures from late November and then getting into the first couple of weeks of December are in the cards potentially. So let's look at what the models and the data is showing at this point into the last week of November, still hanging on to, I would say, normal, above normal temperatures. But notice Alaska, we're starting to see some colder air filtering in here, and that is just the start. As we go into the first week of December, man, does it get cold across Western Canada. And we've been talking about Western Canada a lot in my recent videos, because we've seen a lot of snowfall up here, and that colder air from Siberia over fresh snowpack means it's going to get very cold. Temperature anomalies could be 50 degrees below normal as we go into the first week of December. Here comes the second phase as we go into the second week of December. Might kind of reprieve a little bit. We might get a moderating trend. And then here comes a second, even stronger push of cold air once we get towards Christmas and perhaps even New Year's. I know we're looking way out there, but the polar vortex is definitely something we got to watch as we go into December. Now we look at the snow and ice cover across the northern hemisphere. In orange, there's the ice cover there into the Arctic Circle. And then in the blue, that's the snow cover across Greenland and northern Canada. This was all the way back here a couple months ago in September. And then now as we fast forward into last month in October, notice the blue and even the orange of the snow and ice cover near the Arctic Circle, Russia, Asia over there in general, and all the way down into Canada. We're seeing a lot of that snow cover really starting to blossom in October. And then look at that. Russia, in fact, saw the snow cover literally double from October into November. So Siberian air cross-polar flow is something we got to watch for the lower 48 into the United States as we go into December. If this process continues, it could be one of the coldest Decembers in years across portions of the United States. Now, you probably are here to wonder about how much snowfall are we going to see as we go into December and as we start the months here of winter. Well, if this process does actually verify, we could see a lot of cold air. Yes, that's number one. And you got to have colder air for snow. And it doesn't have to be super cold. You can still see snow in the 20s and 30s. But I think as this Arctic air pushes further south, and depending on how far south it gets, will dictate how far south the snow line will get as we go through, say, Christmas. For any white Christmas lovers out there that want an inch or two of snowfall on the ground for Christmas or New Year's or something like that, I really think the majority of the United States will have a shot at some snow. Even you guys down here in the South, even into Texas, Oklahoma, and Arkansas, Tennessee, as we go through the month of December. I think if any area really had a small chance of snowfall, really relative to any other area, would be the southeast. I think a southeast ridge might actually preclude any snowfall from falling here, but there still could be a chance as we get through late December. And we look here at the lower 48, it's going to be a step down process. This is not going to happen overnight. It's going to take a few weeks for this to unfold, but just know that December could be one of the coldest and perhaps one of the snowiest that we've had in years, dating all the way back to the 2010s. I think this could actually rival one of the Decembers in the 2010s where we saw a lot of cold and a lot of snow. So we'll see how that unfolds. We'll keep you updated. Thank you all for watching. That's all the weather talk I got for you this Saturday evening. If you did enjoy the forecast, you found it informative, helpful for you, life-saving in any way, subscribe to the YouTube channel. We'll continue to cover this and much more across Canada, the United States, and the tropics during tropical weather season. Of course, like the video if you did enjoy it. The more likes we get, the more people who view this vital information in this video, share it, and also hype the video. I appreciate that as well. More of this to come. We're going to continue to track it. Thank you all for watching and have a safe rest of your Saturday out there.